Thank you. All right, so Michael just put the New You Recon link in there. New You Recon is what's happening November 9th in New York. If you're in New York, would love to see you. If you're not in New York and you want to come up, by all means, we're going to have people from everywhere out there. It's going to be in Long Island. Bring a jacket. It's November 9th. If you're from South Florida, jackets are those things that they put on to block the cold, right? We're not used to them. I think I have a couple of them in my garage somewhere. I'm originally from New York, which is hilarious because I treat New York like I treat Vegas now. It's a 3-day limit and I'm out. So it is what it is, man. I love my South Florida weather. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's talk about, again, for those of you that didn't hear when you first came in, recently I had posted something in a leadership group and it was very much focused on team leaders, but that's okay because no matter what level of business you're in, I always feel that the information is very similar at its raw form, right? Like, so if I give you a blanket statement, that blanket statement or the raw form of that statement, the raw form of that education is very much applicable to you if you're a new agent, if you're an up-and-coming agent, if you're a top producer, if you're a solo top producer, if you're a small team, medium team, mega team, you know, brokerage owner, whatever the case is. The blanket statement, the raw form of it is equivalent. It should apply to you and your business. Why? Because whether you're running David and Joe's, you know, bicycle shop, or you're running Apple, the systemization is the same, right? Apple cares about their finances, so should Joe and Bob, right? You know, Apple cares about sales, so should Joe and Bob. Apple has a system in place on how they sell a product, so should so should David and Bob, right? Who own this bicycle shop. And so blanket statement, truth. Digging in, completely different story, right? So when you get into the minutia of something, it becomes very different. So what we're going to do is some serious blanket statements. I'm going to read the paragraph I wrote, and then we'll dig into it a little bit, right? So what I wrote here is the first one might hurt some feelings, may not hurt some feelings. Honestly, it's the truth. And so what I find is, you know, and this was directed at team leaders, and it said, it's not what you can do for the agent, it's what the agent can do for the team. All right. Now, this is a concept that I had to learn because when I first started running teams, agents would come up and they would say, okay, what are you going to do for me? Right? Like, what does your team offer that I can take advantage of? And of course, because you're a team leader, you want to grow a team and you're super excited to be interviewing this person. You're like, man, I give leads, I have systems, I do this, I do that. We got billboards, we got this, we got that. You're super stoked about pitching everything you do. So much so that you forget to ask, well, what value do you bring to the team as an individual, as a person, as a team member? Right? Because a team is a team. It's supposed to work together. It's supposed to have this flow, this camaraderie, this brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it, right? It's supposed to be a group of people that collaboratively work together for the bigger picture, right? And so it's supposed to be made up of an entrepreneur followed by some intrapreneurs who eventually want to become entrepreneurs. But for the meantime, they're going to be intrapreneurs and they're going to focus on learning and educating themselves on what needs to be done. And so what I wrote in the statement was, and many of you will understand this once you hear it, I said, so many team leaders are out there telling people they meet everything they can do for the agent to help them be successful. So as a result, agents join, and when they get okay, not even good enough, just okay at the things that you said you would do, they leave. For instance, if they join you for leads, they will leave you for leads. If they join you for split, they will leave you for split. If you're, you know, so why not ask them, what do you think your value to the agent as an agent would be to our team? That one question changes the dynamic of the interview and the relationship. If people cannot answer that, they probably should not be on your team, right? And so just ideally thinking, if an agent joins my team and their biggest thing was, I joined David because he gives leads, right? Well, at some point, they're going to feel like, oh, I can do this. I'm going to go do it. And the problem is it's never at the point, and this is a lot of years of experience, it's never at the point in which they can actually go do it. They just assume, oh, that's what he does. Okay, I can go do that. They don't learn the systems. They don't learn the processes. They don't learn any of that. They just see the item, the shiny thing that we throw money at to get some leads, right? And because they don't know any of that, and I've tracked this vigorously, when an agent leaves a team, typically their business takes a big hit, right? And this is particular to new agents. What I do see, though, is agents that join you, for your culture, and they want to be a part of that. Well, those agents really get excited and they stay with you for a couple of years. And it's not if an agent leaves you, it's when an agent leaves you. And when they leave, you hope that they have earned so much information. And this is, as a team leader, this is the way you need to think. You hope that they've pulled so much information that they can duplicate what you created. That's the goal, right? We want to rise people up, right? And so I've had agents that have stayed with me for 2-3 years, and they've left the team and they've created phenomenal setups. I mean, I've had some of them become branch managers at other brokerages, and I'm excited for them. You know, they're doing amazing things. But I'll tell you what, if my buyer's contract ever ended up in front of them for a listing, I promise you I'm going to make it top of the list, right? Because we've treated our people well enough to do so, okay? All right, so item number 2 was they do not track their money. Yo, big thing, right? This is a blanket statement, by the way. All small business. Every shiny new toy gets money to keep the agents on the team happy, or to keep employees happy, with the hopes of getting production. Notice the statement, with the hopes of getting production. Watch your money, where it goes, and monthly evaluate your return on investments on the things that you're spending money on. Like, this is a big piece, by the way, because there's so many people flowing. I guarantee you, every single one of you get this message on your phone. Hi, are you still an agent in blah, blah, blah? Right? What do you think they're trying to do? Sell you something, right? Hey, if I told you I could send you leads right now for just a referral fee, would you be interested? Right? Hey, there's this new system out. We can create landing pages to get you leads right away. Like, these are the things that are thrown at us so consistent that it's a lot of shiny new toys. It's a lot of things that you want to try, especially, and I'm going to say this so you guys can hear me clear, especially when the market is shifting. Because at the point of market shift, many of us are just grasping for whatever may or may not work. And when you're grasping for whatever may or may not work, then you're just kind of taking it and not focusing on where your money's going. So you're spitting money out, spitting money out, spitting money out. And is it valuable? Is it doing anything for you? Right? So here's the consensus is, look at where you spend your money and figure out what the return on investment is on each of those items. So if you take something and you spend on Zillow, for instance, and you're also spending on, I don't know, realtor.com, and you're spending on Facebook leads through Walled Garden, and you're doing your own lead attraction, and you're on Chime and giving them money for, Google pay-per-click. Look at how much you spend versus how much you earn, not as a blanket across the board, but for each in particular item. So for instance, if the Google pay-per-click, if I'm spending $1,000 a month on Google pay-per-click, and on the 3rd month or 4th month, I closed the deal and made 15 grand. Is that a good ROI? Well, I spent 4,000, I made 15 grand. That's a more than 3 time multiplier. It's probably a decent deal. And that's where most of us get lost when we're looking at ROI, right? And if I'm spending, let's say, $1,000 a month on Facebook ads, and I've received tons of leads, but no business out of it, well, leads are worthless if the business does not exist. But it gets deeper. Let's get into the next piece. Most leaders or team leaders or brokerages, they train versus coaching. It's a big difference. This, what I'm doing right now, this is training, okay? What I'm doing in my private group, that's coaching. It's where everyone's mics can be on and we're communicating with each other on your particular business. Right now, I'm issuing blanket statements, I'm training. But if, let's say, Vaughn, Carlos, Michael, Kathy, Sarah, Flores, Penny, everybody was in a group and everybody's mics were off, and Kathy is going in back and forth with me on her business and what's happening with her platform and what's happening with the foundation of her business, and I am actively coaching her one-on-one in a group setting, everyone benefits. And then Vaughn says, you know what? I got something very similar to that, but I did a different twist. I'm doing this. Okay, Vaughn, how's it working? Let's do the numbers. We do the numbers. Turns out to be an amazing thing. Kathy goes, oh shit, I'm going to do that too. Right? And that's coaching. Okay. So when we go, they train versus coach, I say, if you are hosting trainings on how to convert a lead on your team, but not working with them one-on-one to help them develop their closing techniques and holding them accountable, you're wasting your money on leads that will not convert. Now, the reason that comes up is, and it piggybacks to the other one. There are agents, there are team leaders spending money on leads. The leads are coming in, they're distributing it to the agents, and the agents are saying the leads suck. The team leader saying my agents can't convert. Everything's a freaking problem. But no one is spending the time to find out where the hiccup is. I'll tell you typically where the hiccup is. The hiccup is that there is no good conversion system in place. There's no good piece of information and training that goes into lead conversion, sales techniques, linguistic application, psychology of sales. None of this is happening. And so because it's not happening, you get a lead, you pick up the phone, hi, you're a lead. What can I do for you, right? And so you try your very best, but your very best, a lot of times, is not good enough because you're not properly trained. That's all it is. That's all it is. If I spent 9 years in the Marine Corps, I've been out of the Marine Corps since 2004. It is almost 2024. That's 20 years I've been out of the Marine Corps. I used to be able to run like a beast. If I try to run right now, that's a problem. Okay. Why? Because I haven't trained for it. I haven't practiced for it. Right. Before I used to run 3, 5, 10 miles like it was cool, man. You know, listening to music, daydreaming about everything. Now, I wouldn't even be able to daydream, let alone listen to music. I wouldn't be able to breathe, folks. I'm gonna run down the street and just kind of croak out. Okay. Why? Again, no practice, no training. By the way, running has technique to it, same as sales. So if you're a runner and you get together with a real runner who does this shit for real, they will tell you, hey, this is how you should step. Hey, these are things you should practice. Here are some breathing techniques that will help you never run out of breath. Those things work. And why we imagine that they don't, I'll never understand, right? So that's why it coined in right after I talked about the money, because, again, we could take it away from teams. There are many of you who are solo agents who are spending money on leads and not training yourself on converting them appropriately. Train on conversion. I don't care how you do it. Join the Freedom Achiever Academy. You should have joined the private group that we created for the end of the year. YouTube it. Like, just YouTube it, right? If you don't want to pay for anything or you can't pay for anything, YouTube. It's the most incredible place in the world. It's got all the information you could ever dream of, right? Okay. Next thing I discussed was they lack structure. Now, this is a big thing because a business without structure is like building a building on a sand foundation. It is what it is, right? When I first started coaching on this, we used to discuss the who and when to hire for the team. Now I associate my time in the Marine Corps and I approach people with a different coaching mentality, such as how to build a military squad, how a squad operates, and then how a squad or multiple squads create a platoon. how a platoon operates, and how multiple platoons can create a battalion, and then how a battalion operates. There are no limitations to how big and effective your team can become as long as there is structure, right? So I think about this in the military format, right? There's a squad all by themselves. You build your squad, you do really great. One day you get promoted to platoon commander, right? Now you got 4 squads that you're in charge of. 4 squads make up a platoon. 4 platoons create a battalion. 4 battalions create a brigade. 4 brigades would create an army. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? So now when you think about this in a business aspect, it's you by yourself. Then one day you decide to grow a team, and now you do really well growing that squad. Then one day you decide you want to add more people to the team, so you create a second squad. But what you should be doing when you create a second squad is you should be putting one person in charge of each of those squads, trusted people on your team, so that you can separate yourself from the daily minutia. Then you build a third one and a fourth one, which, by the way, the 4 squads don't all have to be in your market area. It could be squad 1, Miami, squad 2, Texas, squad 3, Orlando, squad 4, Maryland. Could be, as long as you have a proper structure and operational standpoint, right? Once you have those 4 squads, you could now build a second squad in South Florida. You could build a second squad in another part of Texas. You could build a second squad in Washington, D.C., which is very close to Maryland. You could build a second squad wherever else. And now you can start grouping those. So you could say, well, I have a platoon in Miami, a platoon in Texas, a platoon in Maryland, and a platoon with, I don't know where else I said, Virginia or something like that. And the 4 states with multiple squads in different metropolitan cities could create your brigade. And the cool thing about this is if you get the structure right from the jump, it's the same thing as you grow. It's a rinse and repeat operation, right? All right, the next thing I put up there was they have no exit plan. This is true for so many real estate agents, okay? You are building something with no plan to exit. Will you sell the team, replace yourself? Who are you grooming to be the chief operating officer? No plan to exit. You will be doing this for a very, very, very long time. Your tombstone will read, a team leader that never stopped working. People will say, my team leader was always there even when he couldn't see or hear. If that's what you want, cool. The rest of you, what's your plan? Right now, many of you are selling real estate and you're doing it amazing. Some of you are doing mortgages. I see a couple mortgage brokers in here and you're doing amazing. Okay. So what happens when you don't want to do this anymore? What happens when your knees hurt going up the stairs, trying to show the second floor of a unit, right? What happens at that point? What is your exit plan out of this business? Is it replacing yourself and allowing somebody else to run and operate your team and you become chairman and they become CEO or chief operating officer? Is it, I'm going to build this amazing team that's highly profitable and then I'm going to sell it? Because you can do that. You can sell teams, right? What is your exit plan? Okay. All right. Those were the 5 pieces right there. I want to open it up to Q&A. Anybody got any questions, concerns, or anything like that? I know this one was a quick one today, but I really kind of just wanted to tap into this with you guys. I would love to hear anything anybody's got to say. Am I the only excited one here?
I got one, David. I really liked what you mentioned about the team. A lot of people, when they go into a team, are thinking, what can the team do for me? And but you know, it's really about what can you do for the team, because you're only as strong as, you know, the people around you, and the team grows together. You know, you have a team leader. The leader leads from the front. Everybody goes with the team. But I think being able to find people who are able to, you know, add value to the team is important when you're looking for agents.
Huge key point. And by the way, I don't mean to say that the team shouldn't do anything for you. What I mean to say is that it should be a collaborative effort, right? And so sure. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, yes, When I interview somebody, one of my questions is, what can you do for our team? What value do you bring to the table? And then we talk about what value we bring, and we see if those values match. If they don't, that's okay. We shake hands, we roll out. If they do, shit, we're in business. Let's go close some deals, right? All right, anybody else want to say anything before we jump off? All right, thank you guys. Have a great Thursday. Excited to see all of you again. See you soon. Have a super successful week. We'll see you next week.